Behind home plate, we bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, next generation of Baltimore sports talk. I am your endearingly staring host, and as always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Roca.
Hey, Matt, I'm coming to you live from Florida, where we have no more coronavirus restrictions. We are completely out in the clear now. Meanwhile, you back in Maryland, I hear everyone's getting the coronavirus.
Yeah. A lot of the questions were, does what happens at Walter Reed Hospital affect the Maryland statistics? And apparently it doesn't. So,
okay. So once Trump crossed the border, your number didn't jump up once.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. So we're okay. Actually,
is that really a real conversation?
Yeah, I saw people asking about it
because of one person. Like, were they really concerned that the one number that would jump up because Trump moved from D.C. to Bethesda?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of concerns, too, because outside of Walter Reed Hospital, there's been, all these rallies showing support of Trump, and not all of them are wearing proper protection.
Yeah, but hasn't that been all summer? A whole bunch of protests without protection?
Rallies, protests, yeah, we've been doing it all without protection. Thus, coronavirus still going strong. I guess not in Florida. You guys are too busy doing.
But in all seriousness,
yeah,
we lifted over the weekend. I think it was Friday night is when all the restrictions ended. So I haven't been anywhere. And so I went out today. I went into the gas station to grab some breakfast this morning. I was wearing my mask. The gas station was packed, and I was the only person wearing a mask.
Really?
Because as soon as it rolls, Florida's, and the employees were wearing masks.
Yeah.
Because I think employees are being cautious because they're dealing with a bunch of strangers. But these Florida rednecks, there are a lot of people down here who believe that this is a hoax.
And I don't know what the Florida numbers say, but across the U.S., the numbers are going up. It's hitting its high since early August. So. Yeah. But maybe not in Florida. It might still be going down in Florida.
It was 13 states that increased, and our highest is back in July or something, so we haven't hit that number yet.
Yeah, we have a big board meeting on Wednesday where they're going to vote whether or not to open back up schools. And I think they will, so we'll wait and see for that.
Now, we took last week off.
Yeah, so I want to recap the Orioles season here. I got some notes on the Orioles season I want to get into.
Right. But what you don't know is during that week off, I had to go get another coronavirus test.
Oh, my. You shared when we had Charlie on, you talked about your boss with the double mask.
Yeah. So you know what happened after that? Next day, I started feeling sick.
Yeah.
And then the day after that, extreme fatigue, where I was I have it.
Well, now the flu's flying around, so who knows? So you got the test?
So I got the test. They shoved that little stick even further up my nose.
I don't know why they're doing it. You can do that yourself. I always do it myself.
I don't trust myself to do it. I need a professional whenever I stick things up my nose.
And I did get one inconclusive, so you're probably better off.
Yeah, exactly. So I went and did it. Since then, I found a spot with the blood test. So my third test, whenever that happens, will be with the blood and our results. But they shoved that thing way up my nose again.
See, I didn't do the way up the nose either. It was just a little bit up the nose.
I took 2 days off work because I was so tired and worn out. I was sure I had the coronavirus.
You're sure, yeah.
I spent the third day working, but locking myself in the office. Mandy freaks out at this stuff and quarantines me in the house where I'm not allowed to leave. I'm allowed 2 places in my bedroom. I'm allowed in my bedroom, my bathroom, and my office.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
As far as interaction with the wife and kids, no interaction with the wife and kids?
She will come in with a mask and gloves and all to bring me food.
Oh my gosh.
Or a drink.
I don't want to get coronavirus, but I might have to come down with fatigue just to get away from my wife and kids for a while. This is not a terrible idea.
I told someone I was, after 2 days and then the third day working at home, still tired, I was kind of hoping I had the coronavirus. Not only because Mandy said if I got a positive, then the restriction would be I'd have to stay in the bedroom and wouldn't be allowed in my office. So I figured, okay, if I get a positive, I'll just move my desk into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I will be fine. So I was kind of hoping for a little time off work and coronavirus, especially in a situation like that where I could clearly blame the boss.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. I was negative again.
That's how I feel too, and I'm in no position to judge. But like going back to school, my worries about getting coronavirus. I'm very healthy. I take good care of my body, and to be honest, I know a lot of people are in this position, but I have very little interaction with other human beings, especially human beings who are in a vulnerable population. So I just have little interaction like that. So that makes me less concerned.
Right. I have a lot of interactions, but with guys outside, and they're all younger than me. So I don't feel like concerned about that at all.
Yeah, but I'm aware that other people have those concerns.
Right, but we are sending, Camden is going to school.
Oh, good.
We've been sending her to first grade school. And I'm pretty sure what happened to me is she brought like the flu home or something.
Yes.
Some type of cold, because that's generally what happens every school year. The kids bring all the germs home.
Yeah, I mean, Faye's been dealing with a runny nose, and so it's flu season too, to complicate everything.
Right, exactly. And that's just going to make people argue even more about if it's the flu or if it's coronavirus. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I know. That's less like with the president getting coronavirus. It's one of those, like we talked with Charlie about, like there's these moments where we can unify as Americans. And so, your president is deathly ill or could potentially be deathly ill. Here's another chance to unite. But again, the opposite happens.
No, again, I hope he dies.
It wasn't clear. Yeah, I hope he dies. And then it wasn't clear at any point if he was on his deathbed or if he's 20 years younger. Like, I still don't know if he was really sick or if he's the healthiest he's ever been. I still have no idea.
Right. Or if it was a big infomercial for some unreleased drug.
Yeah.
That he'll come out praising. It's like hydroxychloroquine again.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's so hard to just believe anything nowadays. It's really a weird time.
You can't. Everything is tainted on either side of the aisle. It's so weird. And that's why the debate last week, like people were freaking out about how uncivilized the debate was, and they were just speaking over each other and yelling back and forth, and no one looked good. And I just sat back and I'm like, what did you guys expect? That is the perfect representation of America this year.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. We had that same conversation, Josh, months ago. We were talking about this conversation, right? The inability to have actual real conversation and debate between people.
Right. If I can't have a conversation, go to work and have a civilized conversation with someone, if I can't make a statement on Twitter without being attacked, why would a debate where you're putting two people who represent the two opposite parties together, why would we expect anything else?
Yeah. And I guess the reason is because throughout history, they were still able to do this. They were still able to maintain a certain, decorum.
Except I don't think that's true.
You don't think that's true?
I think recent history.
Even as recent, like I remember they were doing highlights before the show and like showing how people lost or did poorly because they rolled their eyes or the Al Gore sigh. Right. Like that used to be a big deal. This is a far cry from that.
Right, but I think in the history of America, I think before TV and all, I think you had some yelling back and forth and what we would call as uncivilized or a dumpster fire or whatever else they were calling it from last week.
Oh, yeah, or Alexander Hamilton does not get support or doesn't support Aaron Burr, and Aaron Burr just shoots him.
Right.
Good old-fashioned duel.
Right, exactly. And we're all upset because you're talking over each other.
Yeah, that's what I say, too, when people say the country's never been more divided than this. I was like, there was a time where we literally went to war, all right? So
right. We're not at war yet. We're close.
Yeah, we're pretty close. But I don't think we're really that close. But some would argue we're close.
I think it's, exactly. People have very short memory spans, and we generally use that term strawberry for those people, but it's just pretty much covering everyone right now, where we're forgetting and they're saying, oh, we've never been this as racially divided as we are now. And it's like, no, we used to have slaves.
Yeah.
We used to...
Yeah, there used to be Jim Crow laws, there used to be lynchings.
Yeah, it's like, I don't... Yeah.
But Josh, you will agree that it's never before the information that people take in has never been like this, where people kind of just go down their own rabbit trails of their kind of beliefs. Like I feel like this is relatively new with social media and so many news outlets.
And the word news outlets.
Yeah.
It's like the whole joke about MTV doesn't show music videos anymore. The news doesn't do the news anymore.
Yeah.
Every news show is an opinion editorial. Every newspaper is an opinion editorial. I don't know if we will ever have real news again.
Yeah, I remember
even the weather people don't agree on.
Right. It's global warming cause or whatever. I remember even in high school, the thing was Wikipedia, right, was just coming out, and it was like you can't trust Wikipedia as a reliable source. Now I feel like Wikipedia is the most reliable source out there. It's like, there's like, what source can you trust now?
You can't trust any source. If I go and get an Encyclopedia Britannica off of the shelf from the 1994, you will tell me that those facts are wrong.
Right.
Because they don't line up with woke culture.
Right, or you'll come up with another set of facts, that you can run up against them.
Like the fact that male and female is being argued over right now seems like the most basic, simplest thing. Right,
but even it become not clear cut. Yeah.
Right, and it's very weird. I don't know where we come from this, but I don't know why anyone was surprised with how things went.
I don't either. It's been the tone for the past 4 years, this type of rhetoric on both sides.
You know what we need? We need one of these other countries to just hit us with an EMP and destroy our internet for 2 years.
Yeah.
Destroy cell phones, destroy social media, destroy internet, and make us have to talk face to face with our neighbors.
Yeah.
And work things out together.
I've done this. I've lived this. I'm going to Tanzania, multiple times. This was the greatest benefit of it. Is people just hung around at night around a fire and just talked because that's all there was to do. Because
there's been a lot of standing out at night hanging around fires this year, too.
Well, that's true, too, but for different reasons there. But, the reliance on community and kind of talking to each other and needing each other to survive and get along. I blame no fans at stadiums for all of our discord. If we could just go hang out in an Orioles game, we could get along.
Now, that would help, and that's what we talked about months ago. The entire coronavirus 6 months experience of Section 336 has blurred everything together. But I believe it was before we had sports, we talked about the fact that sports heal this country. And after 9/11, it healed the country because you're bringing people together. Right now, sports with separation is not helping to heal the country.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we talked to Charlie. It's interesting, right? Because we had Charlie on last week, and I love Charlie. And
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, sorry, we didn't have our last show. And your political beliefs, my political beliefs, and Charlie's political beliefs, they don't line up at all. All of ours beliefs are different. But in that conversation, you would never know it. You would never know it because we agree on something. We agree on the Orioles and their need for the rebuild and the need for this rebuild to work. And we can disagree with who should be playing center field every day, Austin Hayes or Cedric Mullins. But when that's your biggest disagreement, you're still agreeing on the basic fundamental fact that we love the Orioles and we want them to be great again.
But the thing is, it goes even beyond sports if you build relationships with people and don't just yell at them on the internet. You and I can have a civilized conversation about anything going on in America.
Yeah. And we can do it with Charlie too, right? And we can do it with Charlie too.
Totally.
And partly because
we have respect for each other.
And partly because sports, I think that's an important commonality that we have that allows us to have that conversation. If Charlie was a Yankee fan, Josh, I don't know if I could do it.
No, because if he's Yankees fan, he's evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like if you grew up in Savannah Park rooting for the Boston Red Sox, I can't have a conversation with you because you obviously just follow whatever is in vogue at the moment.
That's why the intern's no longer on the show.
Oh, you know the intern's big into woke culture. I guarantee it. I haven't talked to him in 6 months. I could write down everything that he would say right now. I did think about calling up the intern recently because, he's all big in politics.
Yeah, big in the Democratic Party, absolutely.
Right. And I don't know if he's working on any of these campaigns. I'm sure he's working on some campaign
he's working
right
with
now.
Klobuchar. I don't know since then.
Yeah. That typical intern works on it and it fails.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't gotten anywhere. We messed it a couple years in the intern.
Well, shoot. Hope Biden doesn't hire him.
So. Right, we'll see. So maybe I'll reach out to him soon as we get. But it's a weird time in America, and I just want it to end. And I cannot believe that we made it through the entire Orioles season without Camden Yards opening up. I thought we'd at least have a small group of fans in there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It really is pretty wild. And I go back and forth because on the one hand, it's almost like this week was weird because, Josh, prior to this week, I'm not saying I felt like I was in Florida, but it felt like coronavirus was falling into the background. You didn't hear about any cases with baseball. NBA's been great. You didn't hear about any cases in the NFL. Fans are starting to come back. And then next thing you know, half the Titans get it. Then Cam Newton gets it. Then the president gets it. Whoa, this is a serious problem again. Hold up.
Right. What was Cam doing hanging out with the Titans?
Yeah.
No, it was definitely strange. I don't understand how the NBA bubble has worked so well. I get that they locked them all up in and is it because they have Disney?
I think it's
because
Disney.
There were so many hotels in the one location Disney. And the whole worldwide of sports that Disney is the only place in the world that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I think
and they could ship in.
And also just the facilities there to accommodate that, both the playing and with staying there.
Right, and I guess they had enough places that they were able to bring in video game systems for the guys and restaurant stuff and strippers and whatever else the guys needed.
I saw there's a funny news story. Jimmy Butler was selling coffee out of his hotel room for $20 a pop, and then one of the trainers was started a competition with them selling for $5. They were going back and forth.
That's
Jimmy
fun.
Butler had T-shirts and stuff made up for his coffee spot. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Is it also? I also wonder how much of it is that the culture of the NBA is different. And I guess it's less players than baseball.
It's a numbers game, too, because they started the playoffs. So there's already half of the teams.
Good point.
So it wasn't all the teams. And then the roster is smaller than baseball or football.
Right.
And so it's already a smaller group of people. And then it's the playoffs, so quickly those teams start leaving and it's less and less people.
Right. All right. Well, all I know is the NBA bubble looks like it's a lot of fun.
It does. I mean, they did the fans, everything about it is cool. It sucks, but it's the best you could do. It's better than these stupid cutouts.
Yeah, I don't like the cardboard cutouts. What I don't understand is when you'll see the cardboard cutout and then you'll see one security guard standing by the cardboard cutouts, and I'm like, what is he protecting?
Yeah.
What's the point of having security in the stands so a cardboard cutout doesn't run out on the field?
Well, there's been at least one case I remember reading about where fans kind of snuck in somehow into the stadium, was sitting with the cardboard cutouts to blend in. Did you see that story?
I did not. During a game?
During a game, he got in there.
That is awesome.
And was sitting right next to a cutout, and they had to escort him out.
Love that.
Yeah.
There was a story down here where a homeless guy snuck into one of the stadiums down here and was living in the suites for 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Because the stadiums were empty and unused, and he just went up there and lived in the suite.
Yeah, there could be someone living in the classroom next door to me. I would never know. Yeah, no one's been in there for a while.
Yep.
But, I was watching the Padres playoffs. It's been a great time for sports, watching NBA playoffs, MLB playoffs, football. It's really, this weekend was a little bit weird without baseball. I don't know why baseball didn't have games this weekend. But overall, it's been a really good kind of time for sports fandom, which sucks because I have no time to watch these sports, but I'm watching them anyway.
Right.
But But I was going to say, like, the Padres, fun, cool team. Everybody's on, the dads, right? But I was watching their games, and, like, it's cool, and they have a bunch of young, talented players. But at the same time, to have that kind of resurgence and to have the rebuild come into fruition with no fans there to see it, there's something kind of, I don't know, I'm rooting for the Padres, but there's something kind of depressing about having this cool, exciting young team, but no fans there to get behind them.
Totally. The highlight everyone was sharing, and they share it this year, they share it every year this week, is the Delman Young double. And for all of us,
we were there.
We were all. If you weren't there, you still tell people you were there, but we were really there.
There was 2 million people in the stadium that night.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like 21-31. But that is the loudest Camden Yards has ever been.
Yes.
Imagine that without fans.
I know. It would be, and Scott Garceau is calling it. Like,
right. Yeah, exactly.
It would be different.
Scott Garceau is there. Yeah.
It would be different.
Right. Yeah, instead of Delman Young, it's Scott Garceau mispronouncing Rio Ruiz.
Yeah.
It's different. Fans are integral to sports. And the pumping in audio and stuff doesn't work. This Chiefs-Patriots game is on tonight as we record it. And it's cool that there's fans in the stadium because you're hearing actual people, not cardboard cutouts and video game music.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, sports without fans is better than no sports. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the fans are, especially when you get in this playoff time, man. Like, regular season, whatever, but playoffs, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we were at all the home playoff games. There's something just really cool about playoff baseball and fans.
Yeah, you want to heal America. You take all those cities that are having problems with riots and that Trump keeps calling out all the Democrat cities, as he says, or blue cities or whatever. And what you do is you bring playoff baseball with full stadiums to those cities and no more riots. Your problem is solved.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of truth there. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you surprised that baseball figured out the COVID thing? That they stumbled a little bit at the beginning, and then no more issues.
Well, here's the deal, Josh. We talked about this before, and I think we had slightly different views on it. The question was always, and it's the same question I think that the NFL faces, is not do you have the correct procedures in place. The question's always going to be individual responsibility. Are your players going to be responsible enough to wear masks, to isolate themselves, to not go out to strip clubs, to not go out to casinos? Are they going to be responsible enough as individuals?
And that even goes beyond sports to all of us right now. It's all individual responsibility. The reason schools aren't open is because of the fear of lack of individual responsibility.
Yes, or for previous lack of responsibility. Yeah,
right. Or like, I have a technician at work who tested positive and said, I have no symptoms, I'm still going to come to work.
Yes.
And I had to step in and say, no, you're not. You're home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that's the fear of schools too, right? Like, parents will just send their kids anyway. Yeah, that's the same fear that schools have.
Totally. Camden came home one day and said, oh, so-and-so is going to miss the celebration for her birthday because she's on quarantine. And guess what happened? 2 days later, the girl was back in school.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, what does that? Hopefully first graders just didn't understand what quarantine means or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's all about individual responsibility, and that's how these sports have to work.
And that's what when the beginning of the season with the Marlins, and how about the Marlins season? Amazing. It's that is, by the way, an unbelievable story. In that they had people just off the street playing for the Marlins this year. Right. I mean, when they traded for Richard Blyer, we were like, what are the Marlins doing? Little did we know that they were making a playoff run. But that's been an incredible story. But we thought at that point, this is like, how is this season going to work? And then it was good, right? You had an occasional hiccups, but for the most part, it was good because players were individually responsible.
Right, and people were calling to shut the whole thing down. as soon as you got a couple tests in baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball worked through it. They had a plan because obviously they went into it knowing at some point someone's going to get it. And that's what we're seeing with the NFL now. People are calling to shut it down. But the NFL said, no, we've got a plan, and it seems like it's going to work out for the NFL as well.
Yeah.
But I think once it hit one team in baseball, I think that's when you had the locker room talk of, guys, we got to take this serious because I don't want our team to go down too. And I think you're going to see the same thing now with the NFL, where in-house they're going to say, hey, wake up, we're taking this serious now. We have an opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl this year, or not. At least we have an opportunity to win some games. Let's keep that out of our locker room. And again, individual responsibility.
Yeah, not forever, just until the season's over, and then you can go do and do you and live your life. But
right.
But you're right. Yeah, it comes down to this idea of individual responsibility. But the thing that always surprises me, Josh, it surprised me with the Marlins. It surprised me with President Trump. It surprised with the Titans. It's just how freaking contagious this thing is. Like, it's never like Cam Newton is shocking because it's just Cam Newton, right? With President Trump, all of a sudden there was a whole outbreak right there with the Titans. And it's rarely just one person, right? Because it is really contagious.
Yeah, and that's the Trump thing might be a good example. The Trump thing or the Titans versus Cam Newton. I would love to see some facts and some statistics without the media spin, because they could be great examples of whether masks work or not. Because we know Trump doesn't wear a mask. We know people around him don't wear masks. Did that cause this? Or is it just, it's been hitting so many people, of course it's going to hit the White House just like it's hitting everyone else. Of course it's going to hit a football team just like it's hitting everyone else.
Right. You rarely get, and I understand why, but you rarely get like patient zero in this outbreak, right? Like, here's how it started,
right.
Then this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
Right.
Like, you rarely get those full stories.
Right. Which is why the Cam Newton part is interesting. Because it's one guy in a locker room.
Right. Yeah, that hardly ever happens, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Josh, I got some Orioles notes here. I want to talk about this recap this season.
Okay.
Are we starting? Are we recording? Did you hit the record yet?
Yeah, we just did 30 minutes of political talk.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry for that.
Just wait, right.
Maybe I should tweet, just fast forward to 30 minutes into the podcast for Orioles talk.
No, I think we handled that as good. We had a good conversation that without yelling and screaming at each other.
That's right. You're not going to see this on the news, on the quote-unquote news. You're not going to see this in the debates, all right? An intelligent conversation between two people who don't 100% agree with one another. Boom.
Hey, before the election, let's have a Section 336 debate.
Okay.
So it's all sports, but we'll bring in a moderator.
Okay.
No political questions, but we'll just do sports.
Sport questions?
Sports, yeah.
Okay. The direction of sports in our country.
Right.
All right. So, Josh, I have a ton of notes about this Orioles season. I want to put a bow on this season. There's a lot of conversations we need to have in the future about this offseason, about free agency, about next year, position battles, but I don't want to go there today. There's also a news story. I don't even go here because it's speculation, but you saw there was a fall instructional roster. Kerstead is not on it for a medical non-baseball thing. I don't want to go there either. There's time in the future to have those conversations.
It's a vasectomy.
For now, I just want to talk about recap the season.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. So where do you want to start? MVO?
We can start MVO.
Did you agree with the MVO, Anthony Santander?
Well,
Dar, however you're saying it now.
Yeah. Well, prior to this, well, it's interesting, right? Because he didn't even play a complete season. So props to him. For playing half a season and becoming the MVO. You don't see that happen very often.
And an MVO that I think we all agree he's the MVO. Right?
Yeah. Like, I would have made a strong case for Iglesias. But
because he played the entire season, every game.
Well, no, he didn't play every game, though. Like, he played 39 games compared to Santander, who played 37 games. So that's not really a strong
Then
argument.
get out of here with your Inglacia.
All right, what about DJ Stewart for being the hottest freaking player on the planet for a couple weeks?
He blew it at the beginning of the season where he was the worst person in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Santander was the correct answer.
Which is amazing. Again, a Dan Duquette Rule 5 guy.
Well, Josh, you look at this whole team. Whether it's Ryan Mountcastle or Santander or Austin Hayes or John Means, I mean, or even Dean Kramer. I mean, we're talking about Dan Duquette's team. I don't know, no one wants to say it. We'll get angry emails in. But this roster that everyone fell in love with is a Dan Duquette roster.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Shh. It's like trying to tell people that that your Oriole team that you loved in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, that was an Andy McPhail team. But don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Why is it, Josh, that everyone hates on Dan Duquette, but you won't find a single person to say one bad thing about Buck Showalter, and they were both here for those same set of years? Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah. Buck Showalter was in front of the microphone every night and said entertaining things.
Yeah, and Dan Duquette was the worst interview you've ever heard in your life.
Yes. And we were immediately told that there's friction in that relationship. But it worked, and they were winning, so neither one was let out of it. Dan Duquette wanted out to go to the Blue Jays in like 2012 or 2013, very early in that relationship.
Right.
So I think that also kind of stung people. And there's a ton of people that blame Dan Duquette for signing Chris Davis.
Right.
When the facts are, Dan Duquette did not want to sign Chris Davis, and that was done behind his back.
That was an ownership move. Yeah, that's been established. That was an ownership deal.
Right. Which makes you wonder how good what would have Dan Duquette's regime have done without Chris Davis?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. And that my mind immediately goes where everyone else's mind goes to a guy named Manny Machado. Right? Like, would you have shot to re-sign Manny Machado if you didn't?
A guy who made a push this year for NL MVP.
Yeah, have an awesome year. Yeah.
You would have, yes. And you know what? Beyond him, I guess not. Was Nelson Cruz still in play that year?
Yeah, I mean, the other guy.
He may have brought him back.
Right. The criticism with Dan Duquette, too, is some of the pitcher signings like Eduardo Jimenez and Alex Cobb that didn't work out, and also the signing Mark Trumbo and not signing the Cruz. That was some other.
Right.
Though, props to him for signing Cruz the first time on a really cheap deal, but people forget about that.
Prove yourself deal. Right. People act like, Cruz was going to need a lot more money after that Prove Me year. We got him cheap.
Right.
That's why he didn't come back.
Yeah.
And he was old. He
was going
to
like what? Yeah, 36 or 37. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's revisionist history. Everyone at the time said, "Don't sign Nelson Cruz."
Totally. Sign Chris Davis. It just made sense.
Chris Davis, I think, was a little bit more split in people debating whether we should spend that money on Chris Davis.
The long term and the amount of money.
Yeah.
When Dan Duquette said that candle was blown out, or whatever analogy he made, he said something like that.
Yeah.
We all said, fine, we're okay without Chris Davis.
Yeah.
And then Peter Angelos went and signed him. So all you people that want to hate Peter Angelos, hate him for signing Chris Davis. Get over all the stuff in the past, but you can focus on that one. I'll allow that one.
Yeah. But even that, recognize what you're hating a guy for. You're hating a guy. At the time, he was our best player. He was one of the best home run hitters in all of baseball. And you're mad at him for spending a lot of money on a player. That's what you're mad at him for.
Right. But then at the same time, he would not sign Nick Markakis.
Yeah, there was some injury concerns with Nick Markakis too, but yeah.
There was. But again, yes.
I mean, it's funny, right? And we can do this all day. It's revisionist history, 2020. But looking back on it now, the insanity of ever paying for a one-dimensional player like Chris Davis, who even at his best was not a good base runner, was good defender, but whatever, a first baseman. He's not a shortstop or center fielder.
He was not one-dimensional. He did win a Gold Glove.
Okay, fine, but at first base, he's not like a shortstop or center fielder.
No, he's a first baseman.
He's not winning you games with his first base defense.
He played some decent right field fill-in.
Okay.
But it comes down to Peter loves the long ball.
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about the MBO. And at the beginning of the season, do you know who you predicted to be the MBO?
Well, it wouldn't have been Troy. There's no way I would have picked a young guy.
We both picked the same guy.
I went MVO. Who am I missing off this team? Austin Hayes. MVO, Austin Hayes.
Yeah, that's who we both
The
picked.
glove man.
Yeah, the glove man. Hey, Josh, do you know what Austin Hayes' batting average was at the end of the season? I know you don't, but I'm just putting you in the spot here. I wouldn't either, but I looked it up. Do you know what his batting average was?
232.
I would have said something like that, too. 279. He was
How many games did he play?
He played in 33 games. He was freaking in fuego the last couple of weeks of the season. Once he came back from the rib injury, he was one of the hottest hitters on our team and ended up with almost a 280 batting average.
And I love Austin Hayes, and there's a good chance that next year I predict him for MVO again. But that's, again, one of these question marks going forward is Austin Hayes' health. He didn't do anything to convince us that he can play 140 games a year.
Yeah, I think more than anyone else on this roster, I think this is true. More than anyone else on this roster, like I'm saying it now, I'm thinking about it. He has the highest ceiling, but also potentially one of the lowest floors, right? Like Austin Hayes, at his best, could be, our MVO, could be an all-star, one of the best players on our team. But he also, at his worst, could be. We've seen him be terrible, both because of injury and just before the injury, he was not very good.
Yeah, and that's also part of the weird shortened season is you can't trust any of these stats.
Yeah, and it's also being 24, right? And
sure.
Yeah, but you're right, Josh. This year, like just looking at the stats, this year was insane because I felt like it was a roller coaster. Like it would just go up and down, like DJ Stewart down and then up, down. Like everything happened so fast. Even in the standings, like a week we were in the playoff hunt. The next week we were the worst team in baseball. The next, it was just like every week was a completely different. It was just kind of a roller coaster this year.
It was weird.
A couple other notes. At the beginning of the season, I didn't criticize, but I looked at the Orioles starting roster, their starting pitching rotation.
Yep.
That included Malone, 33 years old, Cobb, 32 years old, LeBlanc, 35 years old, Wojciechowski, 31 years old, and Means, 27 years old. Only pitcher not in his 30s was John Means. By the end of the season, the only pitcher in his 30s was Alex Cobb. So we replaced Wojciechowski, LeBlanc, and Malone in the starting rotation with guys like Bruce Zimmerman, Keegan Aiken, and Dean Kramer. So we saw our starting rotation this year, by the end of the year, get significantly younger, which I think is exciting going forward. Hopefully we won't see another year with 4 of our 5 starting pitchers in their 30s.
Yeah, and when you look at that, the takeaways for the pitching for this season is great deal trading Tommy Malone and bringing in 2 prospects from Atlanta. That's one highlight from the rotation. The other highlight is John Means at the end of this season, putting it together, and there's final couple starts looking outstanding. So John Means is suddenly a guy where it's like was questionable, and now I have some faith. Okay, we can continue to build on him.
Well, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, this roller coaster ride, right? Because John Means went from being maybe not even good enough to be in our top 5 starters to looking like an ace at the end of the season. So which is he, right? It's just a roller coaster.
Right. Of course. And unfortunately, we can only go off what we have seen this year, but at least it gives us some excitement. Do you know what the winning percentage was this year for the Orioles? 417. Last year, it was 333. The year before that, it was 290. Like, it's safe to say we're on the upswing.
Can I tell you something else, Josh? I don't know percentage, but this year we were 25 and 35 was our record. But our what's it called? The Pythagorean win-loss total. was 28-32. So according to our runs,
we should have done
scored
better.
and runs allowed. Yeah, we actually scored below our Pythagorean win-loss total. So according to that, we were 28-32. More encouraging signs that this team is heading in the right direction. Josh, and fans just in general are super pumped about a team that finished 25-35. Are you on board with being super excited about the results of this season?
I am excited because I trust the process. And I said, you and I have been saying for a while, last year was the bottom. This year starts the rebuild. Next year, they get to be a little competitive. 2023, we're winning the whole thing. Right. We've been saying that for a couple years now.
Right.
So I'm excited because that path, that chart that you and I have been talking about, the Orioles are on that path. I know it was only a 60-game series, but we still had a .417 winning percentage. That is promising. There were individual performances by Anthony Santander, by Austin Hayes, by Dean Kramer, by John Means.
Ryan Mountcastle was one of the best rookies in baseball, yeah.
Keegan Aiken. That some type of development happened where our bullpen ERA went down, our starting ERA went down. You sent guys to Bowie, and they came back and improved. The process is working. All that stuff put together does excite me for this team.
I agree.
You're not excited?
No, I agree. I still think there's more unknowns than knowns. There's still a lot that could go wrong, I feel like.
Oh, totally.
So it's
100%.
So, I'm not ready to... I'm not. I didn't mark the World Series on my calendar yet, but I agree. All this, whatever you wanted to see this year, we saw all the right signs. We gotta. I mean, again, the best players in our organization aren't even here yet. So I want to see what Adley Rutschman does next year. I want to see do DL Hall and Grayson Rodriguez. That's who I'm watching because that's going to determine our success more than a DJ Stewart.
Now, the Orioles did something on Friday that discouraged me.
I saw that. I know. I didn't even want to go there. I didn't want to go there today, but you can go there.
Why don't you want to go there?
Because I'm recapping the season, Josh. You're talking about all-season moves, and I'm recapping the season.
Yeah.
I still got a lot to get to with this with recapping the season.
Do you want to go with the negative? I mean, because when you're talking about this path of improving, the move they made on Friday, I don't care about, except for the reason they made the move.
Yeah.
And the reason they made the move concerns me for next year.
Yeah.
Because what I'm talking about is they fired the two coaches.
Yeah.
They fired
pitching coach, third base coach, Brocal,
and Jose Flores.
Yeah, third base
coach. Which
I
don't care. What I do care is that when Brocal was interviewed by The Athletic, he said, "We bust our humps," and then they told me that they couldn't afford my salary. What concerns me is when you're taking the team with one of the lowest salaries in baseball that's wasting a whole lot of money on Chris Davis, and suddenly you're saying you can't afford good coaches. Because then I look at 2021 and say, okay, are you going to spend any money and bring anyone in? No, we're going to have more of the same next year, where we hope we have some promising guys to cheer for, when you need to bring in some free agents as well. So it tells me you, Mike Elias, are not ready to invest in this team yet.
Yeah, Josh, I think you're completely wrong on this. And
good. Tell me why.
And I don't know. This is not comfortable to talk about because you never like to talk about people getting fired. But Josh, what happened? What happened last season, specifically last offseason? The offseason before this too, last offseason, we had, I can't blank on his name. We had one of the guys on the show who has a podcast, I listen to his podcast, and he's a minor league hitting coach now for the Orioles. We had him on the show. I'm blanking on his name now, though. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'll bring up his name because I'm blanking on the name.
He was not just the one guy. There was like...
Patrick something, right?
Yes, Patrick something. There was like a wave, a tidal wave.
Patrick Jones.
Patrick Jones, that's the guy. Has a great podcast, the Patrick Jones podcast. You should check it out. But there was a tidal wave of new, young coaches hired last offseason, like a bunch of them. A bunch of hitting coaches, bunch of pitching coaches.
And investing in the minor leagues.
Who were super into innovative new ways of coaching. A wave of them, guys. We filled positions that we didn't even have last year. We just threw hitting and pitching coaches in there. So now all of a sudden, you tell me you hired a bunch of these young guys last year. Then this year, you let go of 2 veteran guys. You let them go. Maybe because salary, but also maybe because you have a wave of younger coaches who are probably paid less money because they're younger coaches, but a wave of younger coaches who are fully invested in not just the current sabermetrics, the current analytics, the current wave of technology, but they're super into the next wave of analytics. These are the young coaches that are on kind of the cutting edge of what comes next, of how to innovate what you already have. These veteran coaches aren't going to do this. So I think you're investing not in these veteran coaches, but you're putting your money and your resources into these lesser known, younger, more innovative coaches. And so that's where it's going, not these overpaid veteran coaches. You're putting these young, hungry guys who are going to make less money, but I think do the job in a more efficient and better way. So that's where I think it's going, Josh. I think it's going younger, more efficient, more innovative, more creative.
Okay. So you think it's not a financial decision?
Well, I think it happens to work out financially because you're paying these young coaches less than you would this veteran guy. But I think that's secondary.
Okay.
Hey, listen. You know what I never do? I've been fired before. I know what it is to be fired. And don't take my word on a corporation I was fired from. I went to ACS. I also got fired from ACS because the enrollment went down last in, first out. You won't find me to say anything nice about the person who runs ACS right now. I won't say anything nice about them. No.
And you know what? If you got fired because you suck as an English teacher, you're still going to say you got fired because enrollment went down.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And so,
you're not going to
don't trust me on what I say about this.
I get that. I'm
going to use the excuse that it was last one in, first one out, no matter what I got fired for.
Right. But until Mike Elias and the Orioles make the move official, the only person's word you can take is the guy who was fired. And the last time we went through this we're used to Orioles firing coaches by not talking to them and not answering their phone calls.
Yeah, we have a history of not firing people well. But Josh, listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying for a second. The past, since Mike Elias has been here, right? The past couple years since Mike Elias has been here, what has he done? He's invested coaches, money, technology.
The technology, yep.
Into our minor league systems. He's also focused money. He's hired a new position, a guy called an international scout. Who gets this? He signs people internationally. We never did that before. Hired this guy, Kobe Perez. We're starting all these international leagues and stuff. We're investing all this money in our development. And now you're saying they're going to be cheap because they're not paying a pitching coach $300,000? Right. No. I don't buy that for a second. We're just investing the money differently.
Yep. Of course. Yeah, I get it. And, of course, when Buck Showalter came, he added an 8th coach. So if we fire 2 and only replace 1 and we're back to a 7-man coach, that's kind of in line with the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I forget about this story. I don't remember now. Now I don't even remember. But we had that. I remember this guy's name. We hired over in the offseason, we hired the former Marlins manager to be a sidekick for Hayes. I mean, to be a sidekick for manager Hyde.
Yeah, he was like a bench coach.
Is he still on the team? Like, that's a new position we just made up. Assistant.
Yeah. Assistant to the manager.
So, like.
I believe he's still there.
So my point is, it's like if we're talking about teaching, the teaching equivalent I think would be like there's an 80-year-old teacher who has been in the system enough that his step salary has increased, so he's making like $120,000. Wouldn't you rather have a $40,000 teacher fresh out of college with new ideas on how to teach than this guy who's close to retirement? Like it makes sense where the Orioles are.
And I would rather pay for coaches in the minors than in the majors.
And that's where we're at right now.
Coaches in the minors, I believe, are going to make a better impact than a hitting coach in the majors. We've seen many hitting coaches not fix Chris Davis because he doesn't listen to them.
Right, but Josh, you understand how stupid your opening comment was, that this is a sign that the Orioles are too cheap not ready to move on and take the next step, not ready to sign free agents, all that stuff. Because that's so dumb, because we've invested a ton of money in our minor league systems to improve. So to say we're not ready to improve is dumb.
Except for the statement of, we're firing you because of finances.
That's according to the guy who was just fired, yes.
All right, fine. I'm backpedaling because you're right. It came from the guy who was fired.
But now I'm pissed, Josh, because I wanted to get into the Orioles season. We're freaking running on close to an hour now, and I got all these notes about the Orioles season, and we've been talking about these firing coaches. This is why I didn't want to go there.
It's because you wanted to talk about politics for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back into the season.
All right. Let's talk about our bold predictions.
Okay.
You said Chris Davis, and we got to do these fast, but you said Chris Davis would hit. This is like our old rapid fire segment. Pew, 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 pew.
We never made a Chris Davis bet, thankfully.
But you said in your bold prediction that he would bat over 250 with 12 home runs.
Over 250. Okay. He definitely did not do that. Did he have any home runs?
He batted 115 with 0 home runs.
I was going to say, I don't remember a single Chris Davis home run. Chris Davis had 0 home runs.
Yeah, I know.
How crazy is that?
You said, your other bold prediction, you said DJ Stewart wouldn't finish the year with the team.
All right. First half of the season, I was correct. We all thought I was correct after those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I stand by those 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then he turned into Babe Ruth. Your next bold prediction was that we would win, at some point in the season, we would win 6 games in a row.
Oh, we've done that. We did that,
And we did it once. We won 6 games in a row.
Yeah. All right. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Go on.
That's it. My bold prediction.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What did I predict for total win total?
You predicted 23 and 42.
All right. And what did we end up? 25?
Yeah, we ended up with 25 and 35.
All right. I'll take that. That's a win.
Yeah, so 2 games better than you predicted.
And remember, I was very positive about that.
Yeah. And I predicted, I'm just looking at it, I said 23 and 42, but that adds up to 65 wins, so that doesn't make sense. But anyway, and I predicted...
Some postseason victories.
Yeah. I predicted 15 and 45. So I predicted we would have 15 wins, and we had 10 more than my 15. So I was way off. Congrats to the O's for doing that. They're better than I thought they would be. My bold predictions, I thought Ryan Mountcastle would lead the team in home runs. See, where I went wrong in my Ryan Mountcastle prediction is...
You thought he'd be up earlier.
I thought he'd be up earlier. He wasn't caught up fast enough. So, I mean, he only ended up playing in 35 games. In that time, he had 5 home runs. If he would have played a whole season...
if you were smart beforehand, you would have tried to do the percentage of home runs and projected for his games, he hit more home runs than anyone else.
But you know what, Josh? You know what's really impressive? He played in 35 games, right? And had 5 home runs and 5 doubles, right?
Yep.
He played
1 a week.
He played really well. 5 home runs, 5 doubles in just 35 games.
But what about Santander?
Yeah, that's why I want to go with it. Okay, Santander played in 2 more games. So Santander played in 37 games. Ryan Mountcastle had 5 home runs. Santander had 11 home runs.
2 a week.
Ryan Mountcastle had 5 doubles. Santander had 13 doubles.
He's totally the NBA.
24, and he had 1 triple. So 25 extra base hits in 37 games. That's unbelievable.
Could you imagine a whole season of Anthony Santander playing that way?
Hitting like that, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, dude, the math. He's hitting like 50 dongs. Yeah.
Yeah, really. So he was hot for that month.
He was. So my other bold
you got some more?
Yeah, my other bold prediction was that Renato Nunez would be traded. Didn't happen.
Nope.
Though I might bust that out for the offseason bold predictions. I also predicted that the Orioles would have 15 different starting pitchers in 60 games.
All right. That's kind of close. What did we have, 12?
We actually had 10.
All right, 10. Okay.
I was a little surprised by that they only had 10.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I didn't expect. You know who had the most? I mean, John Means and Alex Cobb both had 10 starts. So between
Right. That
Means
makes
and
the most
Cobb,
sense.
that's 20 games right there. That's a third of our season.
See, that's the math you didn't do. Yeah.
And only one guy had one start. I thought there'd be a bunch of guys like David Hess and who knows
Right.
else with one start.
Who got the one start?
Bruce Zimmerman, who came in late with the one start. But Tom Eshelman
Okay.
got 4 starts. Dean Kramer got 4 starts.
What about Lopez? Didn't Lopez get a start?
Lopez he had 6 starts, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. They used him a bunch at the end there.
Yeah. So I thought there'd be more like, spot starters, but there
Right.
really wasn't. So just 10. Other notes, we debated who would lead the team in FIP.
Okay.
We both
field and independent pitching.
Yeah, we both said Richard Blyer. And it's true if you talk about it before he was traded.
Richard Blyer was hot when he got
His
traded.
FIP was
Unfortunately, he got traded
1.52
early.
when he was traded, which was the best on the team. So I'll call that a win
All right.
for us.
That's a win.
Most wins on the team. You said Cobb. I said Blyer. I, of course, did not win because Blyer was traded too fast.
Right.
And for
Who had the most wins?
well, actually, the most wins was Tom Eshelman and Travis
Okay.
Lakins. Both had 3 wins.
All right.
So that's a weird
right.
one. And Cobb only had 2 wins. Let me see other notes.
Well, you were right to go to the pen for wins.
Yeah, we talked about exit velocity. Who would have the best exit velocity? You said Ryan Mountcastle. I said Austin Hayes. The winner was actually, do you know who had the best exit velocity?
Ruiz.
No.
Renato. DJ Stewart.
Oh, yeah, DJ
He
Stewart.
crushes that ball.
For
He
that 2
crushes
weeks
that.
where he was crushing every ball he hit.
Yeah. Yep.
And most home runs on the team. You said, who did you say for most home runs on the team?
Chris Davis.
You said Chris Davis.
With the 12. Yeah, I thought he was going to bounce back with 12.
Yeah, and I said, of course, sticking with Ryan Mountcastle. I stuck with Ryan Mountcastle.
Yeah.
Do you know who ended up with the most home runs on our team? Quietly?
Ruiz.
No. Ruiz was third.
Nunez.
Yep, Nunez with 12 home runs.
Hey, I got the number right.
Yeah, Nunez.
I said 12 home runs would lead this team.
It's true. Nunez just goes out there and hits dongs. All right, I think.
He does.
Oh, our one last thing here. We said World Series. Who would play in the World Series?
All right. Who did I say? Indians?
You said the close. Next, similar to the Indians, you said the Braves.
Okay, well, the Braves still have a chance.
And you said they would play the Twins. Who are out of there.
Okay, the Twins got knocked out. They did, all right, both of those teams are playoff teams.
Yeah,
How about you? What'd you say?
If we reversed ours, we might have a World Series here. I said the Nats. That didn't work out very well for me.
Yeah, no playoff there.
And then I had the Rays. So they're still in it.
Okay. Yep.
So we could have a Rays-Braves type scenario. One from each of us.
Braves, yeah. Rays are playing the Yankees this week, and Braves are playing the Marlins. Who are you rooting for in this postseason?
I'm rooting against more than I'm rooting for. I'm rooting against the Astros. I'm rooting against the Yankees. And I'm kind of rooting against the Dodgers, but not really hard rooting against the Dodgers. I'm really just rooting against the Astros and Yankees.
Yeah, I'm rooting against the Astros, Yankees, and the Dodgers. I'm rooting for the Marlins because of the cool story.
Me too. I also like the Padres. I can't help but I love Manny. I can't help it.
I know. I like the Braves too. So either one in that division series, I'm cool with.
Though it makes me a little bit uncomfortable how much Oriole fandom has jumped on the Padres bandwagon. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I kind of stay away from the Padres because of that. So, but yeah, I'd say I'm rooting for Marlins, Braves, one of them too.
And too much bat flipping for my liking too with those Padres.
They do like
I think you hit a home run before, guys. All right. Last thing. I want to get your impression on this. I said at the beginning of the season, I said 3 players are playing for their career this year. And what I want to know, Josh, after their season they had this year, have they solidified their spot on the Orioles roster, or are they off the Orioles roster, or are they still bubble players going into next year?
All right, DJ Stewart's still a bubble player.
Still a bubble?
Yeah. You agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, if you asked me a month into the season, I would say he was done. You asked me the next month, I would say he's definitely in. You asked me at the end of the season, and I don't know again anymore. He's back on the bubble.
Exactly. All right. I know he was on your list.
Yeah.
Who else?
Cedric Mullins.
Cedric Mullins is on the team.
Yeah, he's a guy. Going into the season, he was off, right? We were surprised he even made the roster. And one could argue the only reason he made the roster was because Stevie Wilkerson got hurt.
Right.
But he made the roster. And, he is a part of the future now, and he wasn't at the beginning of the season.
Especially when Austin Hayes hasn't proven that he can play that position every day. And the defense and speed that Cedric Mullins brings and the decent plate performance for the second half, he's totally on next year.
Yeah, he's going to be a regular player next year and get a chance to play, and we'll see what he does next year.
I like the idea of Cedric Mullins and Austin Hayes both in the outfield together.
It gets crowded, but yeah. Well,
it gets crowded.
We'll get into that another episode.
Suddenly you have a lot of coverage because they both have good range in the outfield.
Yeah, I think it makes you flexible, right? I think it's a good position to be in where you can be flexible with the DH spot, the center field spot, the left field spot.
Right. Right. All right, next.
Last guy, Chance Sisco.
Oh, this is a great one.
At the beginning of the year, he was playing pretty well.
All right.
At the end, he ended up batting .214, but an OBP of .364, which is pretty good.
All right.
17 walks, which was second on the team, which is pretty good.
I am pressing my green button over here.
Okay.
And putting him on the team because I think Pedro Severino's defensive failures have pushed him off the team. And I think that Sisco is now in line to back up Adley Rutschman. Because I think when you're bringing up young pitchers especially, that defense behind the plate is so important. And Severino lost at least 3 games on his own back there behind the plate.
Yeah, like they're both bad defensively. Like you used to be able to argue, though, you're right, that, well, you can't play Chance Sisco because he's so bad defensively. Well, now the other guy, Pedro Severino, is not really much better, so
he's worse.
You can't make that argument. So next year, opening day catcher, is it Sisco or Severino?
I think it's Adley.
You think opening day?
I think
you really
opening
do?
Day. I think based on what we saw with during the season and Bowie, and Adley spent the entire time in Bowie, and Adley is now down here in Sarasota for the fall stuff that we'll talk about next week.
With a bunch of baby birds, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Adley is a college superstar means Adley Rutschman is ready for the big leagues. And if he is not behind the plate on opening day, it is a money and contract move, not a player development move.
Well, and that's if you're just looking for another year. I think it's like May or something. Like he misses the first month of the season.
Yeah, and I hate that stupid
thing. It could be
thing.
that deal.
If he's good, great. We'll extend him for 10 years. Don't worry about all that. Just bring him up on opening day. I guess, what do you think? Who's behind the plate opening day?
I think Severino.
So you don't think he's played his way out? Because you say neither one has played their way out until Adley comes up.
Right. I think it's a Severino-Sisco combination again until Adley comes up.
And then you could even do a 3-catcher
And then
situation.
I'm a proponent of 3-catcher, and you put Adley at DH a lot because you want to elongate Adley Rutschman's career. So put him at first, put him at DH, have 3 catchers.
I'm fine with all that. But think of the excitement of opening day, Adley Rutschman. Nobody will care who the starting pitcher is. We'll all care about the starting catcher. Fans allowed back into the stadium by opening day. I'm predicting that we will have fans there for opening day. You want to talk about some excitement? You put Adley Rutschman behind that plate opening day next year.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with you, but there's other things to be excited about for opening day outside of Adley Rutschman. But I think
the fact that we get to see baseball in person, I don't care who's on that field.
Yeah. But the Chance Sisco thing, though, is, to me, this year, he did not do enough to say he has to, like, if you want to go with Adley Rutschman at the beginning of the year, right, and you want to say Chance Sisco, you're either to Norfolk or you're traded away. Like, there's nothing that Chance Sisco did this year that's like, Orioles, you got to find a spot in the roster for Chance Sisco. He didn't do anything to prove that.
But I think Severino did enough to push himself off of it.
Okay, I think they're going to actively try to trade one of those guys. I would lean towards Severino in the offseason.
Right.
Severino is one of those deals where he was really good he ended the year with a 250 batting average, which is,
and all
for a while
appealing.
he's hitting over 300, yeah.
Right, and that stuff's appealing, so you'll find a team that thinks they can fix the defensive side.
Yeah, it was ugly defensive year.
Yep.
But again, the whole catch situation, we'll debate it. Doesn't really matter because Adley Rutschman's coming.
Yep, exactly. Hopefully by opening day.
Well, I'll take the May surprise. I'll take a May. Let me buy my open day tickets, and then let me buy tickets on May 15th, a random day to watch Adley Rutschman make his debut.
All right, we had a party for Matt Wieters. Are we doing the same for Adley Rutschman Day? I'll hop on a plane, I'll fly on up.
Yeah.
And we have a party.
What's the COVID situation like? Yeah, no, I am. This deserves. We had wieners for Wieters, but this deserves. I feel like something greater than just wieners for Adley. We'll have to come with something greater.
Yeah. Maybe we get the listeners involved.
Yeah.
And we get some other friends and other shows involved, and we have a little Adley Rutschman party.
Yeah, I would definitely be up for something like that. It's to mark the. It's the deal. That's the deal, right? Imagine we were this excited for Ryan Mountcastle. Shoot, Ryan Mountcastle ain't nothing, man. He ain't nothing. We're talking about one of the best prospects in baseball, Adley Rutschman.
Right.
Let's go.
Who's probably right. Yep. Can't wait.
All right, good. I got through all my notes. Thank you.
All right, that's great.
Next episode, we can talk about Ravens next week. We can talk about one of the dumbest tweets you've ever sent in your life.
The Ravens are not that good of a team.
Josh, the Ravens went on the road, beat a team by 2 touchdowns, and the only reason it was 2 touchdowns is because RG3 came at the end and threw an interception, or it would have been 3 touchdowns, and Josh says, oh, this team's not good. Get out of here.
Going to Washington, D.C. is not going on the road. They stayed in Baltimore, and they took a bus.
Yeah,
that's not travel.
Okay, did you beat a professional football team by 2 touchdowns? Who else is beating other NFL teams by 2 touchdowns?
They're the Washington football team. They should be clobbered. What good teams do when the Brady Belichick era, what did they do when they play bad teams? They crush them.
Judge, the Redskins never had a chance in that game. Were you ever nervous in that game at all? You were never nervous.
Did the offense ever look good?
The offense, yards per game, this year is one of the worst in football. Last year, they were number 2 in yards per game. This year, they're one of the worst teams yards per game in football.
And when you go, I thought we were getting out of here. But when you go and you put up your pitiful Monday night performance against a good team, and you can't come back against a bad team the next week and clobber them, that concerns me.
Well, Josh, the Ravens doesn't concern. The Redskins don't concern me at all. The Chiefs concern me, and not just Lamar Jackson, but also our receivers. And it seems like certainly on defense, but it seems like our team does not step up for big games. But this is a whole other podcast we're talking about now.
Right, you're right. And I'm glad Mark Andrews learned how to catch the ball.
Well, just don't put him in a big game again. Yeah.
And I like that Mark Andrews now has more touchdown receptions since the beginning of last year than anyone else in the NFL.
Is that true? That's a nice stat.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. 14 touchdowns.
Nice.
That's cool. That's great.
I would like that against the Chiefs.
But when this team is Super Bowl or bust, I don't have any faith in them yet that they can win a game in the playoffs.
Josh is just mad because he put a lot of money on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, and now he's mad that he doesn't think they're a Super Bowl team.
I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, and I thought they were.
All right, Josh, so chill. See. It was week 4. Chill.
Next week's a big game.
Yeah.
Next week, I might feel better about them because the Browns look really good. Or it's the Bengals next week, right? Yeah.
Rookie quarterback, we're going to eat him up. Rookie quarterback, eat him up. Let's go.
Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
All right, you can follow us on Twitter, write us a review on iTunes. Yeah, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at Section336. You can follow Josh on Twitter
at Josh Soroka.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's and go Ravens.